So show me family, all the blood that I will bleed. I don't know where I belong, I don't know where I went wrong, but I can write a song. I belong with you, you belong with me, my sweetheart. I belong with you, you belong with me, my sweetheart.
Hey, is this thing on?
Testing, testing, 1, 2, 3.
Hey everybody! Oops, I hope I didn't scare you there.
My friends and I decided we're gonna go all the way from Virginia to Maine. So buckle up, this is gonna be a wild ride. I've never been so excited to show somebody all the surprises that await.
And as we get to our destination, you're gonna meet a lot of friends along the way. Now driving through Virginia is beautiful, but driving all the way up the East Coast was something different. From the rolling hills to the towering trees, there's so much to take in. So today we're just gonna focus on the first half highlights of our trip. On the way up, we split our journey into 2 days. The first had us coming from Virginia to the top of the Catskill Mountains in New York. And we couldn't help but delay our plans of getting to Maine when some locals recommended we hike Catskill Falls. And let me tell you, the views did not disappoint. A brief quarter-mile walk from the parking lot earns you a magnificent view unlike anything I've ever seen. And standing atop a viewing platform hundreds of feet above crashing water had us curious. What if we went down there ourselves? And as they often do, my intrusive thoughts got the best of me, and I convinced the whole group that we were going down there. And this portion of the hike wasn't quite as easy. It's known for its rocky terrain. It's gonna be impossible to stay dry. Don't fall in. This hiking montage gives me a great opportunity to introduce you to one of my friends. This is Sophia, or at least her back. Sophia is the brains of our operation. Not only is she the fearless leader of our trip, but she's also the best decision maker in the group, and her adventurous spirit is a major asset on our journey together. Sophia led us through some pretty rigorous territory and got some great content on the way. Wow, just look at these trees. Oh no, looks like we gotta be careful. There are no railings when we get to the falls, so let's make sure to avoid slippery rocks. Don't want to risk a grueling fall. It looks like we finally made it. A lot of people from New York City come up to the falls to paint or just experience nature. And as soon as we got there, we had some plans of our own. But first, we want to get as close to the falls as possible. And that led to some pretty sweet photos of my friend John. John is the free spirit of the group. He was so excited to get in the water that he'd forgotten to take the socks out of his pockets. When they got all wet, we thought it was so funny that he earned the name Pock Sock for the rest of the trip. Now let's get back to that majestic waterfall. It was heaven on earth. There's something about the upper falls that were just so moving. The natural beauty of the waterfall definitely helped me calm my fear of heights. Wow, that's high. And who could resist a free shower? It was definitely the coldest shower I'd ever taken, but the water pressure felt like I was getting sprayed by a fire hose. Legend has it, it does wonders for your skin. I wonder if this is where mineral water comes from. The climb back is almost exclusively uphill, but only took about 40 to 45 minutes. But with the lush greenery and rock face, you can't even feel it. Unfortunately, we had to keep going on our trip, but I promise we're going to be back in these mountains in a couple weeks. Some lunch and a well-deserved rest stop later, we were back on the road. Not that road, Kurt. Oh, and you can't forget the obligatory stop at Dunkin' outside the suburbs of Boston. How does that song go? And I've never been to Boston in the fall. Look, we're in Maine! Woo! Our 13-hour drive was worth it. And I'm not sponsored, but shout out to Toyota Siennas. Those things are tanks. We made a stop at this grocery store where I lost my headphones. A couple of us lost some things on this road trip. But what we gained was so much more. You know, road trips aren't just about the destination. It's about the moments in between, the laughs, the unexpected detours, and the memories we're making together. It's these little things that make the journey unforgettable, like exploring this old-timey Airbnb. It's so funny that we all had a natural inclination to check out the basement, but I'll spoil it and tell you that there was nothing down there. Or was there? Maybe there's a surprise. Maybe it's haunted. You'll have to find it and check it out yourself if you want to find out, because I'm going to McDonald's. And in honesty, McDonald's never tasted so good. After an exhausting journey, all we wanted was some hot food and some rest. That didn't stop us from telling some jokes, though. I slept like a brick, and the view I woke up to was amazing. It turns out we were right on the bay. Hats off to our trip planners. They really knew what they were doing. My friends cooked me a lavish breakfast. I felt like a king, especially since Pock Sock showed me to my chair. Breakfast led me outside to take it all in. I finally got some still shots of the nature around us. The sunrise reflected so beautifully off the lake, and the flora and fauna that we found on our journey was unparalleled. A word to the wise though, be careful as you're driving. There are so many deer here. I heard a legend, and I'm not sure how true it is, that there are 10 times more deer than people on this island. And to be honest, probably 1,000 times more flowers. Wow. And they just keep on keeping on. You've gotta love nature. After that, we were back on the road again. And this time we were headed for the Cove, which was honestly one of the best spots on the whole trip. Just look at this crazy scene. My friend John said there was a sea cave somewhere around here, but we might have to wait till part 2 to actually find it. Still, it was incredible to see those blue waves crashing upon the pointed rocks. And whatever seaweed this is, it was everywhere. Well, everywhere but the top. It's this kind of view that reminds me I have to give you all a quote. In case this is your first time watching my content, you might be interested to know that I embed an original quote or idea inside every one of my videos. Sometimes they'll help you make friends, sometimes they'll help you keep them, but they're usually relationship focused or meaning focused. Now, since I wouldn't be here without my kooky and spectacular friends, I think we'll hear a quote on how to make them. And for that, my advice today is to be bold, because every hello is an opportunity to see life with new eyes. And I've always wondered what it's like to wear glasses. And speaking of glasses, there's another person I want you to meet. Say hello to Gavin. Gavin's a dreamer, a singer, a student, and a star. Without him, this trip would never have made it outside the group chat. He locked us in on the Airbnb, and we're better because of it. I'm so lucky to have Gavin as a friend in my life. Oh dear, it's another one. We'll let him vibe there and check out this incredible bridge. I took a risk with my phone out the window to try and get you this view, because we ended up passing this bridge 5 or 6 times. Each time I was mesmerized, but not my buddy Kurt. We'll talk about him in a second, but whoa, I feel like I'm on a carousel ride. Or perhaps in a giant fan. That was pretty cool. And if you're not into bridges, looking off the side is just as great a view. But going back to Kurt. Oh, you fell for my prank because we're going back to the bridge. Seriously though, this is the best prank ever because I love this bridge. My friends wouldn't let me, but I wanted to go back and forth for hours. I wish I had researched it or looked anything up about it, but sometimes there's something about the mystery that keeps things interesting. Okay, now let's talk about my best friend Kurt. Kurt drove us all the way from Virginia to Maine. He volunteered his car, his time, and his life, and dealt with my minor distractions. At least to me they were minor. This road trip led us to the beach, where the water was as calm as a cucumber, and we captured some of the most pure content of the whole trip. Before you get to the rocky sand, you have to go through a field of flowers. And when we got there, Gavin had to do what Gavin does best, and he tasted some of the water. Just kidding, he was just feeling the temperature. But if I had asked him to, he probably would have. And as the sun began to set on our 3rd day, we enjoyed the calm beach with some volleyball, a barefoot walk on the beach, and a funny prank on our friend John. Before we end with a montage and a song though, I want to thank you for your time. And if you enjoyed this content, I promise part 2 is going to be even better. Later this trip we found a sea cave, went whale watching, and even saw ourselves a shark. So if you're interested in that, please leave a like and subscribe to my channel. And as always, take the road less traveled, know that the greatest adventures are just above the horizon, and that life happens wherever you are. But hey, that's just an idea.
Take all of your savings out, 'cause if we don't leave this town, we might never make it out. I was not born to drown. Baby, come on. Forget what Father Brennan said. We were not born in sin. Leave a note on your bed. Let your mother know you're safe in by the time she wakes, we'll have driven through the state, we'll have driven through the night. Baby, come on,